It was the old MF Doom line, snitches telling all their business, sitting in court and being their own star witness.
I will do the parts of the chart that I can do. And the rest of it, and the parts that kind of pertain to us, so to speak. Let's go in, scroll down. Here we go. If you'd like to follow along, here are the links. Boom and boom. There we go. All right. So I'm not going to put all of this on the screen because, again, there's certain things I can do. I can talk about certain things I cannot talk about. Now, I am going to tell you which of these items to me would have been red flags that I didn't know about before I ever met this guy. And Kiwi Farms has tracked the whole thing and made the Rekieta Degeneracy timeline chart. It's as far as the parts that I know about go, it's pretty accurate. The only two corrections that I wrote in with that I had to make were very, very minor. And it was like dates being off by like 3 days or the social media platform that a thing was on. I mean, really small time stuff. So this whole thing starts in 2019 with a Nick Twitter ban for body shaming. Now it is the start, because at this point, Nick was being the LawTube guy. Mm-hmm. Like he was, I'm a lawyer. I'm doing lawyery things, just I'm a humble conservative Midwestern trad dad, by golly, by gosh. November 11th, 2021, the Rittenhouse trial. November 19th, the Rittenhouse trial verdict. And he made a fucking killing during that Rittenhouse. Now, if he just takes this November of 2021 arc that he's on and he just holds right there, we're talking about one of the biggest names out there in the YouTube world. That's kind of where the sadness of all this is, not in the fact that this arrest happened. And the thing I'm maddest about, and I'm really upset with some people who have forgotten this part, and they're not mad about this part. This should be the part you're mad at, and that is doing this around children and a 9-year-old testing positive for cocaine. That, to me, is where the anger starts and stops, is right there. Because everything else is degeneracy, it's shitty behavior, it's fucking disgusting. We're all fucking pigs for doing it. But it's the involvement of innocent parties that makes this a crime with victims.
For me, the crime is you had that YouTube channel going so good. You could have just kept it together, my friend. You would have been fine.
But the victims in this are the children. Everyone's victims are the kids. So April of 2019 to November of 2021, things seem to be going pretty well, right? Things seem to be going all right. Then we go into the year 2022. A lot of these are skippable. Not that big of a deal, but you kind of see the trad dad thing kind of slip. And you start to see more degeneracy start to, like, maybe there were warning signs now that we look back. February 10th, 2022, Kiwi finds evidence that Nick knows of a gay bar in Dallas called Mr. Mister. Tweet was from June 7th, 2022. So not a lot of, like, trad dads going to gay bars, right?
No, I don't think that's usually what they do.
Not a lot of Menards dads, hitting up the gay bars in Dallas, okay? February 18th, 2022, Nick tells Adam Krigler on his show how he might have been roofied in Dallas at the Cowboy Red River Bar, loses 6 hours, vomited in the bathroom, and woke up with bruises. Nick says he was with several Blaze employees, including Savannah Hernandez, a Blaze personality. Brittany Venti may have also been there as well. So a lot of these conservative people who are like God and country and morality and, all these libs to them. All of these libs are these disgusting, degenerate assholes. And America needs to return to its conservative roots. Well, here you have Nick saying that a bunch of people from the Blaze, which are, pretty morally conservative people, here they're at a fucking bar where people are getting roofied and vomiting and puking and throwing up. Not against the rules, not against the law. I have no problem if people want to get fucking hammered at a bar. Certainly I have in my life many, 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 many times. I don't like the bullshit of being trad dad conservative guy. I think what's saved me a lot of grief in this thing, and believe me, I've gotten my share, but I've saved myself from a ton by just openly saying, here's what I did. I'm fucking garbage and I'm trying to do better. What a piece of shit move. I've never said I was a moral guy. But when you
did have a Proverbs book, though.
That's true. But I had a lot lower perch to fall from a moral standing, because I've always said, don't look,
piece of shit.
Don't look at me for angel wings. Don't look at me to be a good guy. The problem with this fucking guy is that he had the whole world snowed thinking that he was some kind of good, decent, moral guy, and he's fucking coking and drinking and puking and getting roofied and, kind of soft snitching on people at the Blaze. Now, November 20th, this is 9 months later of 2023. We're into 2020. Oh, no, we go back to 2022, but this is a follow-up to the Dallas thing. Nick later talks again about being roofied in Dallas, but this time confirms he was roofied.
Okay.
So there's for what that's worth. April 7th, 2022, Nick shows he has knowledge harnesses for pegging with Joe Goodlogic and Elijah Schaefer. Elijah seems very stimulated. So we're talking, again, moral dad, trad dad, conservative guy. You don't talk about harnesses and pegging.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. Most trad dads aren't taking it in the ass.
I think where a lot of this chart is going to send you is down the road of, why didn't Nick just admit he's a piece of shit? And I think the reason you can't admit you're a piece of shit is because you decided to have 5 children.
Right.
And when you decide to have 5 children, you can't be a piece of shit anymore. That's why I think the point a lot of these sweepers are missing, a lot of the people who still, for some reason, have these people's backs, is that a lot of them don't have kids, and a lot of them don't understand how easily you can fuck kids up with shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem lies. April 11th, 2022, the Depp Heard trial begins. Now, I think a lot of people thought that Nick was still trad dad guy during the Depp Heard thing, but as we're seeing here, the warning signs were already there.
It's just most of us hadn't really heard about him until the Heard thing. It was
Right.
It's the Rittenhouse one and the Amber Heard one that really, projected him.
Right. Dustin with 199 says, nose candy twister isn't a normal adult game.
You tell me that now.
Thanks a lot, Dustin. So then
After I bought one.
in May or June of 2022, as we continue with this thing, Nick's worst day happens. Now, Kiwi Farms talks about this worst day where Nick said the worst thing ever happened between May and June of 2022 during these months. I don't know what the worst day is. I have theories based on conversations I've had, but I don't have any confirmation. So I'll leave that to speculation. June 1st, 2022, Depp versus Heard verdict. So we wrap up the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Takes about 2 months. Big money days. Big money days. And he's streaming all the time for it. Then I got to make sure I can read this one. Okay, I can read this one. June 13th, 2022. Nick has a grift stream in which Nick discusses wet, dripping vaginas, Amaranth's anus, the size of his penis, his love of ejaculation on faces, etc. Slips and reveals pre-swinger resort that he's going to Jamaica and he's heard of the hotel. Now, of course, we know he stayed at a swingers resort. Discusses the worst day, blames friends, extended family, and God in that order. Says he made between $200,000 and $250,000 during the Depp trial. And then we also get the Mandy stuff. Now, I don't know if you know about Mandy.
No, what's up with Mandy?
There was a woman on Nick's OnlyFans who called herself Mandy and would post pictures of her tits and naked photos and shit like that. Nick said he'll sign her tits at Anime Matsuri. He would sing to her during his live streams. He would hit on this woman aggressively, talk about all kinds of sexual shit with this Mandy. Guess what, Johnny?
Mandy was a dude?
Mandy was a guy. And we'll get to the Mandy arc a little bit later when we get into 2023.
Oh, God. That is so worrisome. I feel Nick for that one. Like, you know, when you hook up with someone online until you meet, you're like, what if it's a dude?
Right.
What if it's a dude? Like, I was so glad when I pulled up to the airport. I'm like, it's a girl. It's the same one I saw all the pictures of. Nailed it.
By the way, Meg with $20 says chart, so we're going to put that 20 towards tonight. Thank you, Meg. So we get the first Mandy sighting or mention. June 13th, 2022. And, you know, here's another thing. Here's those red flags I was talking about where if I had known this shit beforehand, I would have never hung out with this fucking guy. That Mandy thing and, like, the clips of him singing and, like, all this shit, I'm like, I'm going to stay away from this guy. This guy seems like a fucking weirdo. Like, this guy seems like a creep, like a total fucking creep. If I would have known about the Fair and Balanced DMs, where he was propositioning Fair and Balanced, and by the way, I can now say, Farron called me in May or June and confirmed that all of that was true. That Nick was trying to proposition Fair and Balanced. I talked to Farron. I told her we'd have her on the show sometime. Now's not the time. But she did confirm that all of that was true. And that she tried to cover for Nick after because she was afraid of the amount of pull that he had back then. The amount of influence that he had. She didn't want him retaliating in some way. So Farron said, no, it's not. The DMs aren't true, whatever, blah, blah, move on. She called me back in May or June. She said, it's absolutely true. All of that happened. Keanu was on the phone with me. It was a group call. Keanu's a witness to it. Keanu was on the phone with us and Farron. When she said that all that stuff is true. So, again, if I would have known the Fair and Balanced thing, I would have never fucking hung out with the guy because it's just creepy, weird. I don't hang out with, like my friends are not guys like that. Creepy, weird, fucking strange. Like, it seems like the guy got famous on YouTube just so he could work out his kinks and weird shit and use that influence to be a fucking creepy guy. I think he was always a nerdy, creepy, lusty, couldn't get a girl kind of a guy. And then, you know, money, YouTube influence.
Now he's got the ability to
pull
people in.
Yeah.
I mean, you told me earlier, like, that he became a cheerleader to get close to the women he liked or whatever. I can't talk about any of that stuff, but yeah. July 4th, 2022, Nick endorses moms doing OnlyFans. Now, I think if you have a partner, you shouldn't be doing OnlyFans because you're lusting after the attention of men and whoring yourself out there for money while you've dedicated yourself to someone else. I don't think it's right. I don't think you should date a woman with an OnlyFans. I don't think a woman should have OnlyFans while she's dating a guy, especially not married to a guy. I think it's a form of cucking. In a way. I can see where you get that. I also personally, like if it's just like pictures and shit, I don't give a fuck. If you're doing like customized stuff for people, then I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. At what point are you just a digital girlfriend?
Right. July 4th, 2022, Nick talks about pegging and cucking. Now, that to me is projection, clearly. July 4th, 2022, again, the worst day comes up, but it isn't discussed what happened. July 22nd through July 31st of 2022, Nick's YouTube channel is suspended and restored. Then I'm going to skip around here because I just want to do the ones where, you know, I have any take or anything like that because this is very, very long. August 1st through the 12th, 2022, his trip to the swingers resort in Jamaica. September 20th, 2022, Nick admits to having done cocaine while on vacation. September 21st, that's where Nick talks about his sex swing to Good Logic and Fair and Balanced. And then you have the Nick and Farron drunk stream. October 7th, suspended from Twitch. That doesn't really matter. October 26th of 2022, Nick sings "Oh Mandy" to Mandy on Locals. Mandy later posts her tits in the Locals chat. As we said before, Mandy's a dude.
Mandy's a dude.
Mandy's a dude. November 8th, 2022, Nick reviews the Baldo, the thing you shove your balls in to make it like a dildo. It's just fucking gay and troubling. Again, if I would have known about it, probably wouldn't have hung out with the guy. This is the start of many
Do a
fans.
hot tub stream with him, though.
I did. This is the start of many fans questioning his trad dad ethics. December 11th, 2022, Nick meets April on Simpcast for the first time. That's when Alex Stein was calling out Nick for all this shit. And Alex turned out to be right. I'm just looking for stuff that I would say would have been red flags. January 2023, Nick first discusses a sex dungeon. Fucking weird. That's something a couple months into us being friends he had told me about. I was like, that's fucking like, there's just so much shit that he's creepily into that I'm like you've known me.
That's not for sharing. Like, if that's what you're into, that's like a you and your partner thing, and you two keep that to yourselves. Like, you don't.
Not only that,
bring others into it.
But it was also like, you know me. I'm not like build a sex dungeon guy. I'm not like obsessed to that level. I've had very unhealthy sexual appetites.
I just want to blow loads, dude. I don't want to get fucking weird.
Like,
right?
I want to fuck. I want to fuck. I like girls. I love girls. But like, just the degeneracy of it all and like the degradation and all this other stuff. It's like, you're fucked up. There's something wrong in here. And there was a lot of stuff that he'd tell me about that I just kind of, okay, moving on. Like, maybe I should have gone, this is not a guy you'd hang out with. In fact, I know I said that while we were hanging out. I said, you aren't a guy that I would normally fucking chill with and hang out with. Like, you're just not. But we're in a weird situation here. January 5th, 2023, some woman on Locals exposes Locals wine mom's porn pictures and sexual chats sent to Nick. See, now, I don't know a woman I've ever been with who would be okay with that shit.
What? Porn pictures
women
and sexual
sending
chats?
me porn pics, like women sending me shit.
Right.
On my Locals and stuff. Not cool. So, January 6th, 2023, Josh from Kiwi Farms weighs in with a warning for Nick to pull up. Now, that's fucking good advice, especially finding out where it went.
Right.
Josh then lectures Nick on the dangers of Locals nude pictures. Absolutely. Nick streams with Camelot February 21st to 28th during a Las Vegas trip and talks about how they are not swinging. So it's not the hot tub stream was not the first time that
people
lied about that whole thing. Camelot later recalls meeting with hookers in Las Vegas. Stephen Gosney recounts Nick acting gay with him in Las Vegas. Interesting. Oof. So then we get to March 1st of 2023. Fair and Balanced DMs are leaked. Hedonism 2, sex dungeon, and swinging allegations are confirmed. Nick responds to Fair and Balanced Twitter response saying he is monogamous and Farron must have got it wrong. We hear that a lot. Oh, they must have just got it wrong. No, it was...
You were trying to lay your buttery nuts all up in that lady.
Yep. Then we get some speeding ticket stuff. May 13th, Nick talks about how he's still trying to build a sex dungeon. Details that when he tells contractors what they're building for him, they never come back once they find out. No shit.
See, that's like a hint, Nick, on how people feel about that.
That's another one. If I would have known that this was a guy who had contractors over to his house saying, I want to build a sex dungeon, I don't hang out with people like that.
You tell them you want to build a basement room for your own personal hobbies. They don't need to know what.
Right.
If you're really committed towards a sex dungeon, I feel like you've got to take on some of the work of making it yourself.
That's just it. He would brag to people about these sexual things he was into, not realizing people find this disgusting. People don't find you as like a cool dude who gets fucking pussy. Nick is kind of that classic guy we talk about, the nerd in college and high school who like is creepy with girls.
Right.
He doesn't know how
He
to
saw how
act
the
or-
jocks do it, but he doesn't get it.
Exactly.
So they're like, oh, man, I'd love to fucking bend her up. Yeah, and then I'd like to tie her to a table and put a ball gang in her mouth. Like, whoa, buddy.
May 13th, 2023, Nick confirms he has a St. Andrew's cross on stream. I didn't know he had one of these fucking sex crosses until he brought it to the hotel for his birthday in December
What
of
the fuck is a
2023.
St. Andrew's cross?
It's just a cross that you put someone on and you do weird fucking sex shit to them.
Jesus Christ. Literally.
I'm telling you this. When he busted that thing out at the hotel, that was another one where I was like, what the fuck? Who does this? Like, who's bringing this shit places? Like, this is fucking, like, I remember numerous times thinking, I don't hang out with people like this. And then it becomes from, I don't hang out to people like this to, like, this is the only guy I'm hanging out with. And it's like,
yeah,
that kind of fucking sucks.
Some of your other friends were like, wow, what did I do wrong?
May 13th, Nick talks about how his Kiwi Farms thread has gone off the rails. Yeah, it's Kiwi Farms that went off the rails.
It's their fault.
May 29th, 2023, Nick gets extremely drunk and lusts over Mandy on stream and later takes it down. Yeah, then Kiwi Farms discovers that Nick befriended some Ricardo and Romaine, a couple of bulky employees from Hedonism 2. Odd. Now as we go to more of these are just him being hypocritical on sex shit. That's not something that would have really, like, to me, it's just the general creepiness of who he was and how he was.
The openness part weirds me out. Like, again, I don't know, man. If I had those kind of skeletons in my closet, I don't care how long I've known you. I'm not really going to just whip those out in front of you.
Yeah. Then October 21st, 2023, we have the Chrissy Mayer, the comedy show that we were all at. And
where it all began for some of us.
I think a lot of it was just there was a streamer in Minnesota, and I was a streamer in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And
that was kind of the whole point.
Yeah,
like,
it's
hey,
just you hang out with people who do something similar, and I think that's where I started to realize I don't have a lot in common with these fucking internet people.
Especially these ones, apparently.
Right. December 2023, Aaron talks about going to a strip club and doing cocaine for Nick's birthday. Yup. So December 15th, so the day before we go out for Nick's birthday, because I think the 16th was a Friday or Saturday. December 15th, Kiwi Farms finds out Mandy is a man and that Nick has been catfished. I did not know about this, and I'm fucking hanging out with the guy. I didn't know about this Mandy thing or anything else.
He's sharing all these other facts. I feel like this one ought to come out too at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of this is all accurate. December 19th, Aaron and April stream from Nick's house. Yes. Then the rest of it's just Nick talking about sex and marriage and shit like that. Tattoo convention. April gets a speeding ticket. Hot tub stream. Oh, here we go. February 8th, 2024. I can shed some light on this one. April walks off Steel Toe morning show set, visibly angry, in tears, upset with Aaron saying she had to deal with a personal issue. April does not return to the show that day. This is the first time when Aaron confronts April on stream about missing shows in the morning, and she says, quote, sometimes she needs to sleep in. She was in the most heightened throes of cocaine dependence at that point. She was doing coke and barely sleeping and doing these shows with me, taking lots of breaks, showing up to the show late. Just a fucking mess. And if you guys thought that the moments on stream were tense, me trying to talk to her about this stuff off the air was a fucking nightmare for me. I mean, I got called every name in the book. I got told what a piece of shit I was. I mean, anytime I brought up drugs, you talk about trying to get between the addict and their drug and the things they're willing to do in order to get back to that drug, they will fucking beat the piss out of you, gaslight the fuck out of you to the point where you start to believe it because now there's, you know, her and him were both doing a shitload of it.
Right.
April and Nick are both doing a shitload of it. So anytime I try to get involved, they're trying to get back to the cocaine, gaslight the fuck out of me. I'm starting to think that saying we shouldn't be doing cocaine, that's the problem.
Yeah, like when you sit with someone doing that long enough, you eventually like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm the issue because everyone else seems to be fine.
They get you to believe it. And man, I tell you, with her, sometimes she needs to sleep in. I was biting my tongue so hard on the air. There were times where I was like, man, you need to talk about this on the air. And then I was like, no, that's not. If I would have known how it was going to end, maybe I would have done like a public kind of a thing. But I would confront her after the show, and man, she would it got verbally abusive. It got verbally fucking abusive with the kind of shit I had thrown at me. I mean, she would involve the kids, like, those aren't my fucking kids and shit like that. And like just anything. And like, just because I was saying you need to stop, you need to cut back on the fucking cocaine. The drugs aren't good. I remember telling her in December, she fucking went off on me in December upstairs in the bedroom. We were up until like 4 a.m. We were up for 4 or 5 hours. Cause I said, you're coming home too late. The kids are home. You're not putting the kids to bed. I'm leaving you to go pick up the kids, waiting for you to get home, and you fucking don't get home till after they're in bed. That's fucking bullshit. And I would think that I had a good point to make. I would think I'm right to be upset about this.
Yeah.
And she would just turn it on me. You're a fucking monster. You are a piece of shit. You are this, you are that. Those aren't even my kids. It's not, your last name isn't even my last name anymore. And I'm like,
holy Jesus, man.
This is just a person fucking coke raging out at me and saying horrible, evil shit. And just like, again, I've had to talk to my therapist about it because I'm like, did I do something wrong? They're like, no, that's verbal abuse. Like you were being verbally manipulated and abused because this person wanted to get to their drugs. And it's just, and that's just one in December that we had. And I remember warning her during that fight. She's like, it's just a little bit of coke and I'm having fun and it's a good time. It's like this much at a time. And I told her, I said, it's going to go from this to this, to this, to this, and it's going to become every day. And it was that happening. And by February, when she's walking off the show and she's oversleeping and shit like that, the lines were longer. She's separating nostrils. She's doing that fucking shooting that can into her nose to clear out her sinuses. And that's the fights were just getting terrible. And by late February, I was done fighting because I couldn't take the abuse anymore. And yeah, I would confront her off the air. Remember that show where she took like 8 breaks and she would come back all geeked each time?
I don't quite remember that show, but I'm assuming it happened.
I'm pretty sure he was giving her something to keep in her purse because I forbid it from being in the house because I got fucking kids here and I don't want that fucking shit in my house. Yeah, that was like reading this timeline really brought back some shit that I'd forgotten about. Like trying to confront her about drugs and just being fucking destroyed for it. Which made me a worse guy too, because you're getting the shit beat out of you like that. You're going to fight back.
Right.
You're going to yell back. And that made me an uglier person. And I didn't like being that guy. February 9th, 2024, Nick skips his usual locals post stream on February 8th. He posts a cancellation notice at 3 a.m. saying he had a client call with a serious issue. He didn't have a client call with a serious issue. Nick would cancel shows all the time because we were upstairs. He was doing coke and we were doing karaoke.
We were having fun.
He would cancel shows just for that. Aaron gets my 2 speeding tickets. In the first cut of this table, Housecat does say that I stopped going to Nick's house because of these speeding tickets. That's not true. I just was more careful driving. February 27th, 2024, April's DMs are leaked by fan Lemmy. Well, actually, Lemmy leaked them back in May or whatever, where we see the first signs of April not happy with Aaron. This was weird because this was kind of a weird manipulation game she was playing with Lemmy and I. So she was DMing Lemmy about the stuff like, I don't even like doing the show anymore. And a lot of it was because I would confront her about, again, this goes back to confronting about the cocaine use. But then what's weird is April would then show me her DMs with Lemmy. She wouldn't show me the parts that she said. She would go, Lemmy's bothering me about this. Lemmy thinks she can fucking invade my life. Like, she would show me this stuff and go, Lemmy thinks she can give me fucking advice. Why are these fans so obsessive and feel like they can overstep like that? So then I would get mad at Lemmy. That would create heat between Lemmy and I. Because April's because April's telling me that, like, this girl, she's getting too close and she's saying this about you, and she's telling me all this shit that Lemmy's saying about me. And I'm like,
not telling her what she's saying to Lemmy.
Exactly. And I'm like, well, then fuck her. What a bitch, all of this stuff. I didn't know that April was gassing Lemmy up, and then April was then using what Lemmy said to show me and then get me mad at Lemmy. And it's like, that was not the first time that shit would happen.
And it sounds like it's kind of part of a pattern.
Yeah. April would tell Nick that I said something or did something that I didn't say or do. And then I would confront April about it in front of Nick. And every time we would have those conversations and Nick would be in the middle, April would say, well, you said that. And Nick goes, April, Aaron didn't say that. Or he would go, April, no, what Aaron's saying is that, like, he's like getting my side. Like, there were 3 or 4 times where this happened. And I remember pulling Nick aside and going, hey, do you think that maybe when you see us interact like this and you see that she's pulling that bullshit, do you think that maybe when I'm not around, she might be doing the same thing?
Like to you or me or anybody else?
Right. Speculation starts about April or ceiling cats being in the room while Nick is streaming March 1st. I mean, yeah, she was in there. Then Nick's speeding tickets. Aaron and April stream from Nick's basement. Nick comes in shirtless and licks Aaron's face. Nick was all greasy as fuck and like he was on drugs that morning for sure. April 1st, Aaron and April admit Nick took them to a gay bar for Nick's birthday. Aaron and April start to get backlash for bikini super chats, hot tub streams, and titty streams by their own OG fans. Aaron goes on a fan stream and is confronted with being a sellout. I mean, I had to defend a lot of shit we were doing back then that wasn't okay. And I apologize to the audience for that. And I'm sorry. I violated your trust in your fandom, so to speak.
Our eye sockets with some of that hot tub stuff.
April 5th. April cleans out her closet and leaves Aaron's house. This is not said by Aaron on Steel Toe, but we find out on the May 23rd stream. That is the date she left. And then she writes to me that talk about manipulation. Like, I'm ready to just call it quits and be done. Like, you don't fucking do that. My fucking kids walked in and saw that shit. And she didn't announce it to any of us. Didn't say a word. And that really pissed me off, and I was ready to be done. She sends me this long text where she goes, we can move into their house next door and you and I can work on things. This isn't the end. You and I can rebuild this. We just have to buy that house and this and that. I'm like, no, that's manipulation. I'm not fucking, you don't get to pull something like that and then say, I'm going to do this. Like, as a man, I couldn't respect myself if I would have done that. Like, let somebody pull me around like that and fucking, I'm like, no.
Oh, come on. Just move into, neighbor's house with an incredibly rusty bathroom. And
oh, God, when we walked through it, dude, I was like he offered us that house for $350,000. I didn't think it was a bargain at that price for what kind of fucking shape it was in. That is problems, dude. April 11th, Nick cancels his stream that evening last minute. If that's a Friday, that's because I told Nick and April I wasn't coming back. And he just went fucking retard ape shit. That's where he told me to cane myself, and he was so mad. And I kept telling him, I'm like, I'm the one not doing drugs, dude. If I'm the fucking buzzkill, if you guys are going to gaslight me about me confronting you about cocaine addiction, you should be happy. The fucking problem's gone.
Debbie Downer's done. Party on.
Yeah. That was the weirdest part. Like, I was like, I feel comfortable saying I'm staying home. I was at my house. The kids were out in the backyard playing with their friends and their cousins. My cousin, a buddy of mine, my neighbor, everybody was over. We're on the deck, having beers, having a fire. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to go hang out in a house and be weird and be fucking gross all the time. I want this. I want fellowship. I want family. I want all of I want fun. This is what I want. I want to have a beer on the deck with neighbors and friends and family members. That's the life I want. I kind of had an epiphany at that moment, as much as it hurts to cut this all off and leave this behind. This is what I want, and I just have to do it. You know, because I thought maybe April would come to her senses at some point, put the drugs down, and we'd have our life again. But she was gone. She was gone, and she wasn't coming back. And I'm like, I'm going to have to do this without her then, because I can't do that. No fucking way. This is too much. So that was the stream where Nick comes on to stream for under 5 minutes, possibly close to tears, staring at April in the corner, and he was, saying he had to cancel his show due to a serious personal issue. And that serious personal issue was me saying, I'm fucking out of here. I'm done. April 14th, Aaron announces April is no longer a co-host of Steel Toe. Nick no-shows April's speeding ticket. And I have to admit, I was laughing my fucking balls off on that stuff.
The no-showing the speeding ticket?
But you know what? I was making fun of it on the show, too.
Right.
By the way, Housecat, who, by the way, Housecat, amazing job with this. Johnny, I told you this was crazy, and I'm skipping a lot of stuff.
Right. He did a lot of work here.
Yeah. I wasn't meaning you stopped going to Nick's because of tickets. You said on stream you just started going there less because of drugs. Watch that video link later. Okay, I will. I started going there less because of drugs. Yes and no. I started staying there more and doing shows there more instead of driving back and forth all the time. That's for sure. Aaron reveals on Steel Toe how the Rekieta kids were often hungry and how he would cook them SpaghettiOs. Well, I cooked them, chili and spaghetti and shit.
More
like
than
that.
just SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, exactly. I was a goddamn...
I heated up anything in a can. All right.
Yeah. Hearing those knocks at the door and hearing, I'm hungry. That
would fucking kill me, dude. Like,
well, I got
have
up
trouble saying no to my daughter when she wants a snack after lunch.
Every time I got up and I went out there, because I'm a dad. I'm like, you hear a kid say they're hungry, and I'm like, I'm not going to shoo you away or say go away. I'm coming out there and I'll grab you something to eat,
If that doesn't fucking pull on your heartstrings a little bit, you're kind of a cock. I mean, I'm sorry.
Right.
It's a little kid.
I was always just different than everyone else. Like when it comes to April and Nick and stuff, I was just always different. The way I handled shit, the way I saw shit, I was the square peg in the round hole. Terrible choice of words. Aaron
who got pegged?
April 30th. Aaron starts to crack on Steel Toe, addresses a number of things, including corner demons, cocaine cookies, and Kiwi Farms, and how Kiwi Farms is usually right. I will say that I used to tell Nick, and he hated hearing this, and I didn't realize it, but I told him, I go, dude, because I finally found out how to fucking use Kiwi Farms. I said, dude, they're nailing a lot of this shit. In fact, I said, let's do the hot tub stream to make the idea of the things they're saying so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That they won't say them anymore. It did not go well. They sniffed it out like a bird dog. But he hated when I would say that. I go, dude, they get a lot of shit right. And that should have been a red flag to me too, that the stuff they were saying about him was probably right too. Yeah. Then May 13th, Aaron announces he and April are getting a divorce. Nick gets reported by pastor. May 20th, Aaron gets angry. I forgot about this one. Aaron gets angry on stream reading a local news story about parents bringing drugs around their own children. Aaron says he needs to move on to the next story before he says things he shouldn't say. I remember that. Then you had the Coke stream. You had me spilling the beans about drugs and everything. May 22nd, Aaron describes the day April officially moved out. I called April's parents the day after Nick's Coke stream. And I told her, I go, look, it's a divorce. We shouldn't be talking. I get that, but you need to get her the fuck out of there. Like after that Coke stream, I said, you need to get her the fuck out of there because that's a bad situation. Like I couldn't, I told them, I go, I tried, I couldn't. And I was in Al-Anon.
And don't you feel like a dick now looking back on it? How wrong you were.
I was in Al-Anon at this time, so I didn't blame myself anymore for not being able to get her out of there. I did for a while. I did for about a good 2-3 months during and after. But once I kind of got into Al-Anon and the support of that group and everything, that helped me a lot. Realize that, you just can't you can't save people from
Can't
this.
save people.
Yeah. So I called her parents and I said, you need to get her the fuck out of there. And her mother was not responsive at all. She was just angry. I talked to her dad for a long time that night. Just to, and you know, we talked about things and he understood and he got it. And unfortunately, 2 days later, they were arrested. So what are you going to do? Then you got May 26th, me spilling everything. Now, here's the thing that I'm not asking for a correction or anything, but May 27th, Aaron and Nick DM each other on Twitter for the last time before Nick blocks Aaron. Nick and I did not communicate with each other past the April, whatever that Friday was that I said I wasn't coming back. April 11th, April 12th, whichever it is. That was the last time he and I ever communicated on a platform. It was on Signal. And that's when I told him, I'm like, I'm gone. You should be happy. The guy who doesn't do the drugs and the guy who gets, up your ass about drugs all the time. That's, one of the times I confronted him about drugs was where I got the speech about the stress levels and cocaine lets you handle more of it. And I'm like, you sure don't do a good fucking job. But that's where he told me to K myself. And I wrote, okay, addict, and then blocked him. So I will say to House Cat that I don't know if I said something and I just told the story wrong or what, but no, there was there was no May 27th communication between the two of us. The rest of it is stuff that really played out in public.
Yeah. That
we all saw. But there's a lot more of it. Check it out. It's really something. It's on Kiwi Farms. It's the Nick Rekieta Descent into Degeneracy timeline.
Hit the like button.
And be like, hey, yeah.
Okay, fuck you, Doom.
Goodbye. I'll do it like that show. Goodbye.
Shut up, Doom. Doom, cool it. For the love of God. Come on.
Doom, you're gone again. That's it. I'm so sick of you anyway.